Let's go back to Africa for a second and let's make another video, because this one I think I make a bit different. I said in the first one that the population decline, and I sustain that they're declining because most of the reason you're gonna see a lot of them, they're gonna pretty much pack their bags and go from Europe, and also the fertility rate is gonna go down, and it's gonna go down much faster than anyone could believe. So right now Africa stays at 1.5 billion people, and you're gonna see how up the trajectory goes, and also the growing starts to go down, and by this point I believe they're gonna see a line like this by 2050. So it's gonna be a huge decrease in population. But let's look at the past. Back in 1955, 253 million people. Now it's 1.5 billion people. So we're going to see a huge increase in population, and that will come with its cost. Back then, the population, the early yearly growing was 2.1, now it's 2.3. So even in that, you're going to see improvement. Even you have 2.1 from 250 million people, and now you have 2.3 from 1.5 billion people. So back then you only have like 5 million net increase in population per year. Now you have 35 million. Huge increase. And pretty much for the entire history, except from let's say starting from 2015, the population has a minus on migrants. Then it started going on the plus side, and now they're going on minus. One thing I have to mention, there are not that many actually people that leave Africa, but especially when you count the population. But still, can you imagine every single one of those, they're gonna go pretty much in Europe. So you're gonna see a huge increase in migration, and we saw that. And I'm gonna make another video about Europe in a few moments, but now let's talk about Africa. Back in 1955, 18 years was the median age. Now 19.2, so very young also. But look at this, fertility rate 6.6, let's say, and now 4. So already see a difference in fertility rate. Not huge one as you see in other countries. You probably expect to see in half, but not yet. But just look at this. Back in 1955, the most population, let's say 16%, living in outside the country, the countryside. So 16% just live in a city, in an urban center, and the rest of them, they're living outside the city. But now it's 45. So already gonna see a huge increase in urban population. You're gonna see a huge increase in fertility rate. But wait, there's more. Now in 2050, you're gonna have around 2.4 billion people, 2.5 I would say billion people. So already they're gonna add almost another billion people. Can you imagine that? Almost another billion people in just 25 years, which is insane. But the yearly change is gonna go down from 2.3 to 1.5. So you're gonna see a decrease. Then from today they have a 33 net growing population per year. In 2050, even they add another billion, they're gonna have only 36 million. And God help them, I don't know how they're gonna manage that. But also the migration is gonna increase, and you can see 1 million people just from Africa that's gonna enter in Europe. And also you have to deal with the part from the Asia. So like I said in North American video, the population from Europe, they have to look from another home, probably the United States, and the Europe is going to remain from the Africans and Asians, because there's no way they're going to manage them in any way, shape, or form. Now the median age is going to increase a bit by, let's say, from the 19 to 25, not that much. And the fertility rate, look at this, from 4 pretty much, they're going to go to 2.7. And the urban population 60%. So you're gonna see a huge impact here, I'm gonna say. But I believe they are gonna stop probably around 2.3 billion people, and then they're gonna start decreasing very fast, because the urbanization always kill the fertility rate. And usually with the African population, they are used to live for much longer, like I say, in the countryside and then just pretty much move into the city, they're gonna have a huge toll on them. And you can see here, especially they're gonna have some climate problems there also, they're gonna say, and you're gonna see a lot of more dryness, and again, huge migration. But also I have to mention one thing: we don't know how the European is gonna manage the migration so far, especially for the next few years. Especially, let's say, when we talk about the next 25 years, it looks like they want to stop it on the paper at least, but I think in reality it's going to be a whole different images, because they have to receive migrants, otherwise the Europes cannot survive. They don't have the labor, unless, let's say, some from a super mega ultra AI is going to pop up. You're going to have all those robots, they're going to work for you, and that might see some changes. But without talking about Africa now, and in Africa, I think also with this climate crisis that's going to happen, especially they're going to hit them harder. You're going to start to see, especially the European, are going to start retreating from them. You're going to see some wars happening there. And one thing I do not know how the Africans it will react is to communist China, because China starts to enter the Africa, and usually the family in Africa are very tight put together, and the communist is going to try to destroy that, because it's much easier to let's say control an individual when it's alone and not side with his friends and family. So that will be something very interesting to look how Africa is going to cope with China. But the chaos that sits inside the Africa, I do believe they're going to see some wars there, and those population is going to go down as fast as they rise it. So probably by the end of the century, if we somehow manage to have 1 billion people in Africa, that would be I would say a miracle. But for now, as we stand, it looks like they're still growing, but not for long. I'm gonna say that probably, like I said, we're gonna stop growing around 2045, around that. We're gonna see how well they manage a few things, but probably by the end of the century it's gonna be around 1 billion people. That's why I'm gonna say the population of the world is gonna go down much faster and very quickly than anyone actually predicted. Now, back to Africa. Like I say, a nice country. I really like the desert, so for me, I would really like to see it. But living in a desert, obviously, it's impossible for now, especially with the African economy. You see some people from Saudi Arabia. We look at that line. I think we can see it from here. It's around here. This one. They try to build in the desert their new country. Let's say the new engine, economic engine. But in Africa, I don't think that's gonna happen this century. So you're gonna see a lot of chaos in Africa in the next few decades. But like I say, there are a lot of things that I don't know how exactly to count them, especially China. The intervention there is gonna be a bit different. And also we have the World War III that is coming, so we have to think of that too. Probably they're gonna use, because they have a rapid and young population, they probably gonna use it in a way or another to just fight this war, and we're gonna see how that is gonna end up for them. But like I say, for now, a lot of them just enter to Europe and try to replace the population of the Europeans, because the elite of Europeans, they want cheap labor and don't think in anything else whatsoever, and also they think they can control the Africans better. But we'll see how that is gonna go, because every time you have a protest in Germany or France, you're gonna see some chaos happening there. But we're gonna see. And for the African that stay home, doesn't look good for them either. I have to say, they try to develop some industry in the tourism especially, but I don't see them. And that garbage with the Africa is so rich in diamonds. Trust me, diamonds is a market that is pretty much, I would say, a fake market. It's in the prices. There is nowhere near that how diamonds should cost, and not to mention that you can actually make diamonds in a laboratory in I don't know, 3-4 days, something like that. So they're using diamonds as pretty much an exchange to move the money from one place to another, much easier than actually carrying cash, in my opinion. Now, everyone think it's the same story with the art and paintings and stuff like that, but that's a bit harder to move. With diamonds, much easier. Now, from Africans, for my fellow Africans, which I think nobody's watching from Africa. I didn't look at the analytic lately, but I don't think they can watch it. There is nothing that much you can do. Like I say, in those countries when they have no much hope, and it's happening to Europe too, so it's coming here too. Even if you fight the system, which we will lose, or you just try to find happiness in small things in life and enjoy from that one, because there's no way that anything you see on the, let's say, social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, we see all those people just show their very expensive houses, cars, travel, all the lifestyle. I can guarantee you it will not happen to you.